Hey everyone, what is up? I'm KLF, and I'm back with another Hearthstone video and another class preview video. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen it on my channel, but I did do a preview video for the mage class within Hearthstone. If you're unsure of what Hearthstone is, or you're unsure of the basics of the gameplay or of the combat, I recommend checking out my Hearthstone intro and preview video, as well as checking out at least the first section of the mage class preview video. Now, because the mage was the first class that I previewed, I did talk about a lot of preliminary or a lot of basic stuff in that video, just talking about, you know, different like the curve of certain cards or things like that. So if any of those things are questionable to you, or you're unsure about what's what in Hearthstone, I highly recommend checking out one of those two videos. If you're comfortable or you know what's what in Hearthstone, then stay right here, stay with me, because I'm going to be talking about the Hunter class in this particular preview video. So the mage was the first class that I analyzed. Now the second class I'm going to be analyzing is the Hunter. Now bear in mind, with all of these preview videos, I've only spent, I ended up making a single purchase in the game. I ended up buying a $10 purchase on some packs. As you can see, I have some packs that I haven't opened down there. I'm not going to be opening them in this video, but I spent a bit of money. Otherwise, all the cards and the pieces that I have here only come from packs that I've earned through in-game gold, as well as just the basic cards I get from playing as the class. So one thing to remember is each class has 5 basic cards that you unlock. Well, you get a certain amount of basic cards when you unlock the class after you beat them in any mode, and then as you play, when you level up to level 10, you get also another 5 basic cards to use. So bear in mind that this video, I'm only going to be talking about or analyzing the cards that I have. So I am going to be talking about the Hunter, so let me get over to that. And so don't take this as a way to kind of analyze all the cards within a class, but rather I'm just looking at the most accessible or easiest to get cards. Like I said, I've only opened a few boosters at this point. I've opened, like I said, I opened 1 booster that I had paid for so far, and the rest that I've earned through in-game money. I've opened maybe about 5 or 6, I want to say. I have been playing it for a while, just completing quests, earning gold for getting wins in play mode and things like that. I haven't gone around to the arena yet, but I will do that very soon. Okay, so the Hunter class. There we go. So the Hunter, this is a class in Hearthstone. He does, where do I see his hero ability? I think I can see his hero ability on the other screen. So you know what, before checking out the cards, I'm gonna go over and check that out. Can I just highlight him? Oh, right here. There we go. So the Hunter class, my Hunter level 12, his hero power, so each hero has a hero power. His hero power is Steady Shot. So for 2 mana, I can deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. So it seems quite powerful, especially compared to, I mean, when you look at like the mage's power, the mage, it's 2 mana, deal 1 damage to anything. That power, in my opinion, is better, arguably better. I would say, I would even go so far as to say it's because of its versatility, the mage power is better. I mean, 2 mana for 1 damage, but as you can see here, Steady Shot, 2 mana for 2 damage. What does that tell us off the bat? That means the Hunter, his hero power is limited because he can't target anything else, but he can deal 2 damage straight to the opponent. So it's an aggressive type playstyle. Like the hero power that the Hunter has is certainly very aggressive, because every turn that you have left over mana, you use 2 mana, you deal 2 damage, you pass the turn. Like that's kind of like a staple of the Hunter, especially the way the playstyle in which the Hunter uses. Just from skimming these cards here, what we're about to find out, because I am familiar with some of these cards, I think each class has 25 class-specific cards. As you can see right here, I have 15. So I have about 60% of all the cards. I do have a single rare, which we'll look at in a sec, but I do have 60% of all the Hunter cards. And a lot of these, like I have a few commons, and I have all the basics, and we're going to take a look at the value. And this is also after the patch / huge nerf to Unleash the Hounds. I know I do have a single copy. A lot of people talking about this card. Unleash the Hounds. So you might see them online. They're called UTHOTK decks. And what that is Unleash the Hounds 1-turn kill decks. So Unleash the Hounds with its old ability, I'm not going to get into it and the way it's been changed, but essentially it's been nerfed, and now I feel like it's more of a combo card. Its cost has been readjusted, but again, I will get to that later. So let's get back on track. So the Hunter, we know his hero power is 2 mana to deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. Fairly aggressive. The Hunter himself, as a class, it seems like the class wants to play aggressive, and there is a tribal slash a creature type element. You can see actually right from the front page being a beast. So there are a lot of beasts found within. So here's another beast. Your beasts have charge, giving beasts taunt. So there seems to be a common theme right away from what we can tell is that the Hunter has an affinity to beasts, and looks like there's a bunch of secrets. I have 3 common secrets. They're all close together right here. So the Hunter class has a bunch of secrets, a bunch of beasts. There are cards that interact with beasts. There's a few other nooks and crannies. There's some damage spells. Seems to be a bit more creature-based when looking at the specific cards than someone like the Mage. So let's look at kind of what the Hunter cards themselves do. So we know the Hunter is in his hero power. He's fairly aggressive, and we know the affinity to beasts. But okay, so let's take a look at a couple cards that are beasts or relate to beasts. So Timberwolf, it's 1 mana for a 1/1. It's a beast. It's a basic. Your other beasts have +1 attack. So what I find from playing this guy from experience is that Timberwolf, the moment you drop him, he's going to get targeted, he's going to die right away. Like, 1 mana for a 1/1 is alright, and I mean, I guess for his ability, he's decent because he gives your other beasts +1 attack, and he's a beast himself, so that helps when you're playing other cards or, trying to give him taunt, or, in short, Timberwolf, he's a decent card, but he's not going to live 9 times out of 10. Like, you play him and he's going to trade, or he's going to be a target of a spell, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That perhaps a card like Timberwolf demands attention. It's almost like a poor man Raid Leader, like Raid Leader, which is a 2 mana for a 2/2, and it gives all other minions +1 attack. Timberwolf, it's 1 mana for a 1/1, gives all beasts +1 attack instead. It's quite average. Starving Buzzard, on the other hand, I really like Starving Buzzard. He's another guy who who was nerfed in the recent patch. It used to be 2 mana for a 2/2, and whenever you summon a beast, draw a card as his ability. I like Starving Buzzard a lot. I love drawing cards. I find myself to be the kind of player that prefers to draw cards and be more in control rather than just go straight aggro. But it's clear that the Hunter has a lot of aggressive and some semi-control pieces at his disposal. So looking at Starving Buzzard, I mean, 2 mana for a 2/1. Whenever you summon a beast, draw a card. It's decent. However, because its toughness was nerfed from a 2/2 to a 2/1, now suddenly his value, in my opinion, has dropped. I mean, when you play him as a 2/1, like if you drop him on turn 2, let's say, 2 mana for a 2/2, the old Starving Buzzard, you know that next turn, if you play 1 or 2 beasts, you know you're going to be okay, and you're going to get at least 1 card. To me, if I play a Starving Buzzard and I can get at least 1 card out of it, that's okay, because I played Buzzard, I played a beast, now Buzzard replaced itself because I drew a card. However, if you can keep Buzzard in play and draw 2, 3, 4 cards, suddenly you're going to gain card and tempo advantage. That's why, to me, Starving Buzzard is an excellent card in almost any Hunter deck. However, because his toughness was nerfed, now he only has 1 toughness. If you drop him on turn 2 or turn 3, let's say you drop him and you're like, yeah, I'm going to wait a turn, and next turn I'm going to play a beast. Well, if you drop him on turn 2, if your opponent has a creature, they're almost always going to trade, because that's a good trade to make. If you drop the Buzzard and he doesn't let you draw any cards, well, you didn't really use him to his full potential. So, again, demanding some attention, but I feel like Starving Buzzard is awesome. If you get him in the late game, let's say you have a beast or 2 in your hand. I know things like Corehounds. Corehound is a 7 mana for a 9/5, but it's also a beast. So let's say it's late game and you draw Starving Buzzard, you have a Corehound in your hand. You could actually drop the Buzzard, drop the Corehound, and then you're going to get a draw to kind of replace the Corehound, which is so in the late game, if you still have beasts in your hand, or you have late game / win condition, I should say, beasts in your hand, Starving Buzzard is okay, but the nerf definitely hurts him. Looking at some of the other cheaper options, Hunter's Mark, 0 mana, change a minion's health to 1. It's okay. Usually, I'm not a fan of any card that's not straight removal. Like, changing a minion's health to 1 is nice because you can trade with your lesser beast, so you can use your boar, your 1/1 boar with charge, or you can use your Timberwolf if you wanted to. You could pay 0 mana, change their health to 1, and then trade, especially if it's like a high toughness, like an Oasis Snapjaw or something like that. Something that's a bit tricky to kind of get out of the way, or a Oasis Snapjaw with taunt, I should say. But, I mean, a card like Hunter's Mark doesn't really tickle my fancy. A card like Tracking, however, I feel like it's pretty solid. I mean, 1 mana, to look through the top 3 cards and choose one is awesome. Like, being able to sift is really good. I would recommend tracking. Tracking is a card that I like. Looking at some of the other cards here, I'm gonna get to Unleash the Hounds in a bit. But looking at some of the other creatures as well, like Houndmaster, so it's 4 mana for a 4/3, and his battle cry is give a friendly beast +2/+2 and taunt. So if you play Houndmaster into an empty board on your end, he's not good. Like, 4 mana for a 4/3 is not good. But if you already have a beast in play, or you know, played a cheap beast, or you played Animal Companion, you summon a random beast companion, suddenly giving it +2/+2 and taunt is excellent efficiency. So if you already have a beast in play, I would recommend Houndmaster. I think Houndmaster is pretty solid, especially if your deck is going to be running a lot of cheap beasts. I know Dinofin Raptor, also it's 2 mana for a 3/2, and he's a beast. So, I mean, playing the Raptor on turn 2 or turn 3 into a Houndmaster turn 4 is generally okay. As far as the removal options, Arcane Shot, 1 mana for 2 damage. It's okay. You can use it on weenies or weaker creatures. Let's say it's a Hunter Mirror matchup and they play a Starving Buzzard, it's obviously recommended to use something like an Arcane Shot. And remember, the Hunter, with his hero power, can only target the opposing hero. He can't use it like the Mage to deal damage or kill things on the board, like minions or things like that. So Arcane Shot's decent. There are probably better options, or if you're going more control-y with secrets, you might not need it. But I mean, it's a decent option. Something like Multi-Shot, however, is pretty good. I mean, it's 4 mana. It deals 3 damage to 2 random enemy minions. Now, the thing with Multi-Shot, and it's the thing, I think I mentioned this in the Mage video as well, I'm not a fan of random effects. Not a fan of random effects, especially when planning or things like that. But one thing that's clear is that Multi-Shot, more often than not, let's say your opponent has 3 or 4 creatures on the board and all of them have 3 or less toughness, then you know it might not kill the creatures you want, so Multi-Shot might not be useful in a pinch, but 4 mana to kill 2 creatures, the 2-for-1 trade is good value. So I find, from my experience, Multi-Shot more often than not is going to be a 2-for-1 trade. And I mean, let's say your opponent only has 1 big creature on the board, Multi-Shot isn't going to be useful. It's all about those trades. So against most matchups, I find Multi-Shot is beneficial, and it will give you that 2-for-1 value trade. Or even if it doesn't let you trade, let's say your opponent has a 3/5, the Shield Master there. It's 3/5 with Taunt. If you play a Multi-Shot, you can kill the other creature and bring the 3/5 down to 2 health. Then it's easy to trade or easy to kill it with, you know, an Arcane Shot or something like that. So Multi-Shot, I find you're going to get the value for your mana there, and I think it's pretty solid. Kill Command, I think it's one of the later basic cards I got. Just looking at Kill Command, I mean, 3 mana for 3 damage, meh. But if you have a beast that deals 5, pretty good. You're going to be able to kill mid-sized threats. Or you can use it to rush with for that last 5 damage that you need as a Hunter. Let's say you're a Hunter, you get your charge guys in play, you just attack, you turn them sideways, as a Magic player would say, which means just you keep attacking, and you get your opponent low. Kill Command could be something to help deal the killing blow, because you already have beasts on the field. So in all, it looks like the Hunter, so far from what we can see, they have some decent options. There's a couple more things I want to talk about as far as their card sets before I'll get to like a sample deck list. First I want to talk about the secrets, and then I want to talk about Unleash the Hounds. So looking at these secrets, these are, I think, 3. I want to say the Hunter has maybe 5 or 6 different secrets. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, Druid. Yeah, so the Hunter itself, he has 5 different secrets at his disposal. These are 3 of them. These are also all common, as you can see. So I got them from opening a couple different boosters. So let's just look at them and decide which ones are worth playing, which ones aren't, or which ones are better than the others potentially. So they're all 2 mana, so we'll keep that in mind. So 2 mana for Explosive Trap. When your hero is attacked, deal 2 damage to all enemies. I find Explosive Trap, I think I actually got this in my most recent booster. I feel like Explosive Trap might be the best out of the 3. But dealing 2 damage to all enemies is good, especially if, again, in a Hunter Mirror matchup or against like maybe a Rogue deck or something like that. A deck with a lot of weenies or like a Paladin deck, Explosive Trap might be good, because if you drop it, even if you drop it turn 3, turn 4, your opponent attacks you, and suddenly you get 2, maybe even 3 creatures from it, and they all die. Maybe they have some tokens, they have some Murlocs that they summoned, they're all dead. Explosive Trap, that's value for your mana right there. That's value for your money, because I mean, The one secret trading for 2, even 3. I mean, even if you drop Explosive Trap, they attack and it doesn't kill, but let's say it's like your opponent has a couple creatures that are maybe 3 3s or 4 4s. Now suddenly they're within arcane shot, or they're within kill range. So Explosive Trap is kind of good in that sense. It could even be comboed with something like Hunter's Mark, where you can drop the secret, use a Hunter's Mark on another minion, and whenever they attack your hero with any minion, then it's gonna die. Now Freezing Trap. Let's look at Freezing Trap. So it's secret. When an enemy minion attacks, return it to its owner's hand, and it costs 2 more. I used to run a couple copies of Freezing Trap. I find its usage to be a bit too situational for my liking. It's pretty sweet if you get it in the late game and your opponent is just licking their chops and they really want to go at you. They have their Core Hound, they just dropped, and they want to go at you. Now suddenly they have to bring it back to their hand, waste another turn, and then waste another turn playing it. So Freezing Trap can buy you some time, but for the most part, especially if you drop a secret, a lot of people tend to attack with like smaller creatures or weenies, just to get you to waste your secret, and then they can attack with their big guys. So Freezing Trap, a lot more situational. Plus, if your opponent has creatures with Battle Cry, they can attack with those creatures. Oh, you're not going to take damage because it gets returned? No problem. I'm going to play it next turn for 2 more mana and get another card, or get another whatever the Battle Cry effect was. So Freezing Trap, I would probably stay away from. Snipe. When your opponent plays a minion, deal 4 damage to it. Pretty neat if you know what's in their hand, or you're working with other control elements. Something like maybe Freezing Trap into Snipe as like a secret combo could be cool, but it's like a 2-card combo that may or may not kill a lot of like minor type threats. Snipe as well is fairly unpredictable, because I mean, if your opponent can play any minion, and it's neat because for 2 mana you could actually get a pretty decent trade. Like let's say your opponent plays a 3/3 or a 3/4 or something like that, or even if they play like I mentioned the Shield Master earlier with Taunt. You have Snipe in play, they play the Shield Master, suddenly their 3/5 is a 3/1 that they spent 4 mana on. And let's say this is fairly early in the game, now it's very easy for you to trade with your 1/1, or use an Arcane Shot and just take out the, remove that threat like it wasn't there to begin with. So I mean, in ways like that, Snipe could be useful, but Freezing Trap and Snipe, me personally, I would probably stay away from playing them. They seem to be a bit too contextual. If you could find a way to use them in like a pretty sweet combo, if you had some sort of Freezing Trap, I don't know, weird combo about, creatures coming into play, or if you had a way to like bounce their creature and you knew they were going to play it again, I guess. But for the most part, I would say out of these 3 secrets, stick with Explosive Trap the most. It seems to be the most reliable as well as deal the most damage. So I would rate that one quite highly compared to the other 2. Eaglehorn Bow. With this theme of secrets, by the way, my one rare that I do have, I got in, I think my first pack actually, is Eaglehorn Bow for the Hunter. So it's 3 mana for a weapon. It has 3 attack and 2 durability. Whenever a secret is revealed, gain +1 durability. So it's neat because the Hunter does have a focus, like I mentioned before, 5 of his class-specific cards are secrets, so there is a focus on secrets. However, I don't know how many secrets you're going to be running in your deck. Perhaps it's good, again, as a situational card if your opponent runs lots of secrets, if they're running a class or they're running lots of secrets in their deck and you knew that for a fact. Perhaps it could be cool like that, but for the most part, Eaglehorn Bow, not a whole lot of value. Even if it was for yourself, even if you did use a lot of secrets, what are you going to get? An extra turn or 2 with it? Still not that great. Now, another card I want to look at, probably the last specific card I want to look at, is Unleash the Hounds. So, it's recently nerfed. Its new effect, it's 4 mana and its ability, for each enemy minion, summon a 1/1 Hound with charge. Now, with this recent nerf to Unleash the Hounds, I think it's going to change the landscape in the sense of this card is really... It's not as good as the old Unleash the Hounds, first off. You're not going to be killing anyone in 1 turn with this, unless your opponent somehow has a lot of minions and they're quite weak with no taunt creatures. But this card seems to be more of a combo card. If you had cards like the Knife Juggler, that when creatures come into play, it deals damage equal to their power to like a random enemy or something, equal to their attack rather. Unleash the Hounds, it's balanced now. I feel like it's more of a combo card. You could probably combo it with some decent neutrals or things like that. But, I mean, for the most part, if you're using Unleash the Hounds and it's getting you more than like 4 or 5 or 6 minions with charge. It could be, if it's a close game and you know you're going to lose next turn, you play Unleash the Hounds, you swing in for 6, maybe you attack with a couple other creatures, maybe you can kill them, deal 10 damage, you can win. But Unleash the Hounds isn't the powerhouse that it used to be. It's definitely more of a combo card, more of a situational card, I would argue. And I think with that, Unleash the Hounds, you would kind of have to, like, you wouldn't just put it in your deck and you're like, yeah, if I get this, I'm going to win. It's just like, it's in your deck and either you have a combo based around it, or it's in your deck and it's like, oh, if everything goes to hell, I can play Unleash the Hounds against, my opponent's weenie deck. I can get, 3 or 4 1/1 Hounds, maybe find a way to buff them with the aforementioned Timberwolf or something like that, and then maybe I can deal some significant damage, use my hero power, try to win, deal 10, 12 damage in the last turn, see if I can sneak one out in like a close game. So Unleash the Hounds, I still think it'll see some situational play, not in like on a competitive level. Whenever I make these videos or when I give these breakdowns, I'm not necessarily looking on just a competitive level. I'm looking both on like a casual and like a competitive level. I think Unleash the Hounds will see significantly less play on a competitive or a ranked level, but it might still see some conditional play in a casual level. So that's mainly what I have to say about the different hunter cards, what the hunter has available. So there is some kill, there's some sifting, there's some cool beasts and some beast synergy, a bunch of secrets where you might not play a lot of them, but there's some decent stuff that the hunter has at his disposal. He seems to play a style to try and, just the standard deal with your opponent's threats, not like mass removal per se, but have a couple secrets, deal a bunch of damage, and just, play your charge minions, play your beasts. I mean, something like Tundra Rhino as well, all your beasts have charge. The focus is definitely on beasts, and the focus is definitely on dealing a lot of damage, especially over time, and related to his hero power. I do have a sample hunter deck that I made. I've played this deck quite a bit now. I actually tested this deck more than I tested the mage deck for my first video. I've played maybe, I want to say maybe about 12 to 15 games with this deck. Let's say I played 12 games, I haven't been keeping strict count, but I would say this deck wins a bit more often than it loses. I did remake this deck a couple times, and try to find something that sort of worked. Like, let's say I played this deck 12 times, I would probably go maybe like 7-5 or 8-4, which is decent. I mean a decent win rate, not a great win rate, but a decent win rate playing casual. Just to highlight some of the cards. So, as you can see from the curve, definitely a lower curve. It's got some decent cards at the 3 and 4 curve there, but you can kind of see what it does here. I did leave in a Hunter's Mark. I don't know how good I feel about that with one Arcane Shot as well, but it seems to work as well as one tracking. There's a few neutral cards that I use. So Stone Tusk Boar, neutral card, it's 1/1. It's 1 mana for a 1/1 with charge, and it's a beast. So it's quite valuable, get that early damage in. Swamp Ooze is obligatory. I mean, 2 mana for a 3/2 is excellent, even though he's not a beast. Amani Berserker, did get him in a booster pack. He's not a beast, but he's pretty good. I mean, 2 mana for a 2/3, and it has Enrage, which gives him +3 attack. Because you're going to be attacking a lot and dealing a lot of damage in a hunter deck. Really, just always kind of staying on the offensive, unless it's a mirror match. But even still, it might just be a race to who can be more offensive. So, in such an environment, Amani Berserker really demands to be dealt with, I would argue, and that's good in a hunter deck. You want them to deal with your earlier threats, so it'll make way for your later threats, and just you keep attacking, keep dealing damage. Cards like Direwolf Alpha, he's a beast, 2 mana for a 2/2, so I prefer him to the 1 mana for a 1/1, and he gives adjacent minions +1 attack rather than all beasts. I find he's more survivable even with the extra 1 mana cost. Crocolisk, he's a beast. Bloodfin Raptor, beast. A couple kill commands. Iron for Grizzlies, 3 mana for 3/3 taunt. They're okay, but I use them as a taunter to really kind of stall, plus they're beasts. A single Razorfin Hunter, and that's pretty well it. I throw a couple of these Berserkers in just to kind of tank damage. They're kind of like a win con if you want to push through. Same thing with Boulder Fist Ogre. They're not beasts like a Core Hound, but they're there if you need that extra help punching through. You can even drop like a Lord of the Arena to help stall and just kind of go from there. But as you can see, it's all about kind of you know, dealing a bunch of damage early on. Just keep harassing them with your hero power, and once you get to that turn 7, turn 8, turn 9 range, then you start dropping your big boys. Maybe you start dropping, maybe you play and Unleash the Hounds and just flood the board, and you really try to go for that win in that kind of mid-game area. The Hunter, I'm not sure how well this deck kind of rushes for the win. And at the same time, this deck, in my experience, didn't really hold up well if the game went the distance. It held up okay because you can keep poking for 2 with your hero power. But if it goes into the ultra late game, I feel like this deck doesn't perform well, as well as in the early game. The deck kind of does have some holes. The mid game, the mid to later game is where this deck shines. And this is just a sample deck list. I mean, if you guys have some changes or think some cards are poor, or maybe you would throw some cards in that are different than mine, let me know. But this is my sample deck list, and this pretty well concludes my Hunter class analysis. For more Hearthstone coverage, you guys can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/KLachievements, I believe. And so go check it out. Again, you can check out within this playlist, you can also check out the Mage preview video. You can look at the overall preview video, and I plan on having a preview video for every single class in Hearthstone coming out for you very soon. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I hope to see you guys again soon. I'm KLF, and I'm out of here.